The East Room of the White House smells like furniture polish and old wood. January 23rd, 1946. Cold outside, colder in here. Elias Whitmore stands at attention in a uniform that doesn't quite fit. The jacket pulls tight across his shoulders. Farm work does that to a body. 25 years old, looks older, hair already showing gray at the temples. Not from age, from something else. President Truman holds a small blue ribbon with a bronze star hanging from it. The Medal of Honor, highest military decoration the United States can give. Fewer than 3,000 awarded since the Civil War. The citation reader's voice echoes off the ceiling. For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty. Eli doesn't hear the words. He's hearing something else. Mortar fire, screaming, the wet sound a rifle butt makes when it connects with bone. Single-handedly repelled an assault by approximately 100 enemy soldiers. His right ear rings, always ringing now, half deaf on that side. The other half works too well. Picks up sounds that aren't there. Footsteps in empty rooms, breathing in the dark. 41 confirmed enemy killed in action. 41 faces. He sees them every night. Young faces, old faces, scared faces. The one that haunts him most was maybe 19, had a picture in his pocket. Wife, baby on the way. 2 hours and 47 minutes of sustained combat. 2 hours, 47 minutes, felt like 2 years, felt like 47 seconds. Time does strange things when you're trying not to die. Truman steps forward, reaches up. Eli is tall, 6'2". Truman barely clears 5'9". The president has to stand on his toes to get the ribbon over Eli's head. Metal touches cloth, settles against his chest, weighs nothing, feels like 100 pounds. The room erupts in applause. Photographers' flashbulbs pop like small grenades. Eli flinches. Just a little. Nobody notices except Truman. The president leans in, speaks quietly. Only Eli can hear. You saved American lives, son. That's what matters. Eli looks into Truman's eyes, wants to say, but I see their faces every night, sir. All 41 of them. Instead, he says what you're supposed to say. Thank you, Mr. President. The ceremony ends. Eli walks out into January cold. The medal sits in its case in his pocket. He will put it in a shoebox when he gets home. He will not open that shoebox for 37 years. Someone should probably ask how a sharecropper's son from Mississippi became the most decorated soldier in his division. How a man who could barely read or write killed 41 enemy soldiers in less than 3 hours with nothing but a rifle in his bare hands. Someone should ask, but it's 1946. The war is over. Everyone wants to forget. Eli wants to forget too. He can't. The story starts long before the White House. Starts in red Mississippi clay. Starts with a rifle and a boy in a debt that never seems to get paid. Yazoo County, Mississippi, 1928. 7 years old, small for his age, hair the color of straw that's been left in the field too long. The shotgun is almost as tall as he is. Single barrel 12 gauge. Stock held together with wire and hope. His father Virgil put it in his hands on a Tuesday morning in March. You see them beetles in the cotton? Eli nodded. Everyone saw them. Boll weevils, 3 inches of crawling destruction. They came in clouds, ate through the crop like fire through dry grass. 5 cents a beetle you kill. 5 cents. Eli did the math in his head. He was good at math. Better than reading, better than writing. Had to be. Math was the difference between eating and not eating. 5 cents times 20 beetles equals $1. $1 was his father's wage for a full day in the field. Sunup to sundown, 13 hours breaking his back over someone else's cotton. How many you need? Eli asked. Virgil looked at his son, looked at the field, looked at the sky like it might have an answer written up there. All of them. That was 1928, the beginning. Before the stock market crashed, before the dust storms, before the world went to hell and took everyone with it. Eli learned to shoot that summer. Not for sport, not for fun, for survival. The shotgun kicked like a mule. First time he fired it, the recoil knocked him flat on his back. His father picked him up, dusted him off, put the gun back in his hands. Again. Eli fired, fell down, got up, fired, fell down, got up. By the end of the week, he stopped falling. By the end of the month, he could hit a boll weevil at 20 yards. Problem was, shotgun shells cost money. 3 cents a piece. Kill a beetle with a shell, you're only making 2 cents profit. The math didn't work. Virgil sold the shotgun, bought a .22 rifle from a man who needed whiskey money more than he needed the gun. Paid $8 for it. Took Virgil 2 weeks' wages to save up that $8. Make it count, Virgil said when he handed over the rifle. Eli made it count. .22 rounds cost half a cent if you bought them in bulk. Kill a beetle, make 4.5 cents profit. The math worked now, but there was a catch. Shotgun spreads, rifle doesn't. Miss with a shotgun, you might still clip the target. Miss with a rifle, you wasted half a cent. Eli couldn't afford to miss. So he didn't. The education of a marksman. The fields around Yazoo County stretch flat and endless. Cotton, corn, soybeans, all of it borrowed land. Virgil Whitmore owned nothing, plus nothing except the clothes on his back and the debt in his ledger. Sharecropping works like this. You work someone else's land, plant their crop, tend it, harvest it. At the end of the season, you split the profit. 50-50. Sounds fair until you realize the landowner controls the scale, controls the price, controls everything. Most years, the sharecropper's half didn't cover what he owed for seed, for tools, for the shack he lived in. So he went into debt. Next year, he had to work off that debt plus new expenses. The hole got deeper, never shallower. Virgil Whitmore made $180 in a good year. Rent on the shack was $120. That left $60 for food, clothes, everything else, for 2 people. 3 before Eli's mother died. Ruth Whitmore caught pneumonia in the winter of 1925. No money for a doctor. She wrote it out in bed. Fever took her on a Sunday. Eli was 4 years old. He doesn't remember her face, just her hands, rough from washing other people's clothes. After she died, it was just Eli and Virgil. Father and son, 2 people trying to survive on $60 a year. The Beatles saved them. Strange thing to say, but true. Eli killed 847 boll weevils between 1928 and 1939. 11 years, 77 beetles a year average. Some years more, some years less. Depended on the weather, depended on the season. 5 cents a beetle, $42.35 total over 11 years. $42 doesn't sound like much, but it was the difference between eating and not eating, between keeping the roof and losing it, between Eli getting to finish 3rd grade and having to quit school to work the field full-time. He quit school anyway at 10 years old, but he had a choice. That mattered. The kill zone. Most boys learn to shoot cans off a fence, targets painted on wood, paper bullseyes tacked to trees. Eli learned to shoot things that moved, things that crawled, things that flew, things that wanted to live just as much as he did. Boll weevils are small, 3/4 of an inch long, gray-brown color, blend into the cotton bolls they feed on. Hard to see even when you're looking right at them. Eli learned to see them. He learned to track movement in his peripheral vision, learned to distinguish the flutter of a beetle from the rustle of wind in the cotton, learned to calculate distance by eye. No rangefinder, no scope, just instinct and math. Average engagement range, 320 yards. Think about that, a target 3/4 of an inch long, 320 yards away. That's 3 football fields plus change, with a .22 rifle. Open sights, standing position. The longest confirmed kill, 512 yards. August 1936. Eli was 15. The beetle was on the far edge of Mather's Field. Eli saw it from the road. One shot, dropped it clean. He walked the distance to retrieve the body, brought it to his father as proof. Virgil measured the paces, 512 yards. How'd you make that shot? Eli shrugged. Beetle was there. I was here. Needed the nickel. That was the difference. Rich kids shoot for sport, for trophies, for pride. Eli shot because missing meant his father worked an extra day to make up the difference. Missing meant less food on the table. Missing meant debt got deeper. You don't miss when missing costs that much. By the time he was 18, Eli could put a .22 round into a 3-inch target at 400 yards. Consistent, repeatable, cold bore, hot bore, wind, rain, dawn light, dusk shadow. Didn't matter. He never thought of it as a skill. Just work. Same as hoeing cotton. Same as fixing fence. You do what needs doing. You do it right. You do it every time. The Army would later discover that Eli's groupings at 400 yards were tighter than most trained snipers at 200. They would ask him where he learned to shoot. Beatles, he'd say. They thought he was joking. The ghost nicknames stick in small towns, especially nicknames you earn. Eli earned his the summer he turned 13. Virgil sent him into the east field at dawn to check the irrigation ditch. Quarter-mile walk through cotton plants taller than Eli's head. Rows so tight you had to walk single file. Eli walked quiet. Always walked quiet. Didn't like making noise. Noise meant people noticed you. When people noticed you, they expected things. Conversations. Explanations. Eli didn't have much to say. He reached the ditch, found it clogged with mud and dead weeds, started clearing it by hand. 15 minutes of work. Silas Mather came walking up the road. Owned the land, owned most of the land around Yazoo County. Fat man, red face, loud voice. The kind of man who thinks owning land makes him better than the people who work it. Mather stopped at the field, looked down the rows, saw nothing but cotton. Called out anyway. Virgil, you out here? Eli was 30 feet away, dead center of the field. Could see Mather through the gaps in the plants. Didn't answer. Mather wasn't talking to him. Mather waited, called again. Virgil Whitmore, you out here or not? Silence. Just whined in the cotton. Mather muttered something under his breath. Walked away. Eli finished clearing the ditch, walked back to the shack, found his father mending harness. Mather was looking for you, Eli said. Went 20 minutes ago, East Field. Virgil frowned. I didn't see him come by. He didn't come by. He was at the road. How'd you hear him from the road? You were in the field. Heard him fine, saw him too. Virgil set down the harness. You were in the East Field and saw a man on the road. Yes, sir. And he didn't see you. No, sir. Virgil studied his son, thin kid, quiet kid, moved like smoke through the cotton. Here 1 second, gone the next. How do you do that? Eli didn't know how to answer. Didn't know there was anything to do. He just walked, just moved. Same as always. Word got around. Town that small, everything gets around. Silas Mather told the story at the general store. Told it like it was funny, like it was a trick. Boy's like a ghost out there, right under my nose. Never saw him, never heard him. The name stuck. Ghost, said with a laugh at first, then just said. Then it wasn't a joke anymore. Just who he was. Eli Whitmore, the ghost. He didn't mind. Ghosts don't get bothered. Ghosts don't get asked questions. Ghosts do their work and disappear. That suited him fine. September 1942. Virgil Whitmore died on a Tuesday, same day of the week he gave Eli the shotgun 14 years earlier. Life has a sense of humor. Dark one, combined accident, new machine. Landowner bought it to save on labor costs. Virgil was one of 3 men trained to operate it. First day running it solo, something jammed in the mechanism. Virgil reached in to clear it. Someone else hit the power lever. Didn't see Virgil's arm in the works. He bled out in the field. Died before the doctor arrived. John probably died before anyone thought to send for the doctor. Eli was 21. Came home from town to find neighbors standing in the yard, hats in hands. That look on their faces. They didn't have to say anything. Eli knew. The funeral was small. Virgil didn't have many friends. Hard to make friends when you work sunup to sundown 6 days a week and spend Sunday too tired to move. Reverend said words about God's plan and eternal rest. Eli didn't listen. Couldn't see the plan in a good man dying because a machine was faster than human reflexes. Couldn't see the rest in a body worked to death by 51. They buried Virgil next to Ruth. Matching plots under a pine tree. Matching stones. Simple. Cheap. All Eli could afford. He stood at the grave after everyone left. Tried to feel something. Grief. Anger. Anything. Felt nothing. Just empty. Hollow. like someone had scooped out his insides and left the shell standing. The farm went to Silas Mather. Virgil never owned it, couldn't leave it to Eli. All Eli inherited was debt. $147 owed for seed, for tools, for advance on next year's rent. $147 he didn't have. Mather gave him a choice. Work it off, 3 years minimum. Or walk away, leave Mississippi, leave everything. Eli chose door number 3. Enlistment Camp, Shelby, Mississippi. November 3rd, 1942, recruitment office. Sergeant behind the desk looked bored. Looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Looked at Eli the way you look at the 100th person in line who all want the same thing. Name, Elias Whitmore. Age, 21. Education. Eli hesitated. 3rd grade. The sergeant glanced up. First time he'd actually looked at Eli. 3rd grade. Yes, sir. Can you read some? Can you write my name, some numbers? The sergeant sighed, put down his pen, looked at Eli like he was about to deliver bad news. Son, the Army needs men, but we need men who can read orders, follow written instructions. You understand? Eli understood. Understood. This was door number 3, closing, understood. He was about to go back to Yazoo County and work off his father's debt for 3 years. Understood that after 3 years there'd be new debt, new years to work off. The hole never got shallower. I can shoot, Eli said. The sergeant smiled. Not mean, just tired. Everyone can shoot, son. This is Mississippi. I can shoot better than everyone. Something in Eli's voice made the sergeant pause. Wasn't bragging, wasn't cocky, just fact. Same way you'd say the sky is blue or water is wet. That's so. Yes, sir. The sergeant thought about it, looked at the stack of recruitment quotas on his desk, looked at Eli. Farm boy, strong, healthy, quiet, the kind of quiet that comes from years of keeping your head down and doing your work. Tell you what, I'll send you to basic. You wash out, not my problem. You make it through, we'll see about that shooting. Eli signed papers he couldn't read. Put an X where the signature line was. The sergeant witnessed it, made it official. Private Elias Whitmore. Serial number 34657-284. United States Army. Basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia. 8 weeks. Eli expected it to be hard. Expected drill sergeants yelling. Expected long marches and obstacle courses and all the things they show in the movies. It was easy. Not physically. The physical part was hard, but no harder than working a farm 16 hours a day. Running 5 miles with a 40-pound pack. Try walking behind a plow from dawn to dusk, crawling under barbed wire in the mud. Try picking cotton in the rain. The other recruits complained, cried. Some washed out in the first week, couldn't take the discipline, couldn't take the drill instructors in their faces. Eli said nothing. Did what he was told. Did it right. Did it every time. Week 3 rifle qualification, M1 Garand, semi-automatic. 8 rounds in an internal magazine. Fires .30-06 cartridge. Standard issue for U.S. infantry. The range officer explained the test. 50 yards, prone position, 8 rounds, 7 targets, 7 hits minimum to qualify. Score of 80 to pass, 90 for sharpshooter, 95 for expert. Eli had never fired an M1 before, heavier than the .22 he grew up with. Different balance, different recoil, different everything. Didn't matter, he scored 96 out of 100. Would have scored higher, but 1 round clipped the edge of the target instead of center mass. His fault, overcompensated for wind. The range officer looked at the target, looked at Eli. Where'd you learn to shoot like that? Beatles. Beatles. Yes, sir. The officer marked it down, moved on. Probably thought Eli was simple. Maybe he was. Simple works. Complicated gets you killed. Word spread. Always does in the Army. Kid from Mississippi can shoot. Really shoot. Officers started paying attention. By week 5, Eli was pulled from regular training. Put in an advanced marksmanship course. They tested him at longer ranges. 100 yards. 200. 300. 400. Eli hit everything they put in front of him. They gave him a scope. Asked him to try 600 yards. He put 5 rounds into a 12-inch circle, 600 yards, open field, light crosswind. The instructor shook his head, wrote something in a folder. Son, you're wasting your time in regular infantry. But that's where they sent him anyway. Army doesn't change its plans because one private can shoot. Army has plans, division assignments, unit rotations. Eli was assigned to the 33rd Infantry Division, Company B, 117th Regiment. They shipped out to the Pacific Theater in March 1943. Eli had never seen the ocean before, never been on a boat, never been outside Mississippi except for basic training in Georgia. First time he saw the water stretching to the horizon, he thought, that's a lot of nothing. He'd see more nothing before the war ended. Islands, jungle, sky that went on forever. And in that nothing, he'd become something the Army didn't have a name for. But that comes later. First comes New Guinea. First comes 2 years of learning how to stay alive when everything around you is trying to kill you. First comes rain and mud and malaria and dysentery and watching men die from infected cuts because penicillin hasn't made it to the front lines yet. First comes the education. Beatles were just the beginning. May 1945. 2.5 years in the Pacific. Eli is 24 years old. Looks 40. The jungle does that. Strips the youth right out of you. Leaves something harder, something colder. He's seen combat. New Guinea, Morotai, now Luzon, Philippines. Company B is dug in near Dingolan Bay. Tayabas Province. Guarding a supply route. 3 weeks of quiet rotation. Coffee and cigarettes and letters from home that Eli can't read. His cousin Leroy writes once a month, 3 years younger than Eli. Eli sends his combat pay home. Every cent. Leroy uses it for trade school. Learning to be an electrician, learning a skill that doesn't involve dirt and debt. Leroy's letters are 4 pages long. Eli gets someone to read them to him. Usually Private Hendricks from Tennessee. Hendricks doesn't mind. Reads them slow, patient, like he knows how much they mean. The letters talk about Mississippi, about the weather, about who married who, about small things that seem big when you're 6,000 miles from home. Eli writes back, dictates to Hendricks, keep it simple. Doing fine, weather hot, food bad, send more socks. He never mentions the combat, never mentions the men he's killed, never mentions the Japanese soldier he found in a spider hole last month. Kid couldn't have been more than 17. Surrendered, hands up, rifle on the ground, crying. Eli's squad leader shot him anyway. Said you can't trust them. Said surrenders are tricks. Said it's us or them. Eli thinks about that kid sometimes. Thinks about the look on his face, the way he called out. Probably calling for his mother. Everyone calls for their mother at the end. The kid had a picture in his pocket. Eli saw it before they moved on. Family photo, mother, father, little sister, smiling. Now that family has a hole in it. Hole the shape of a 17-year-old boy who died in a spider hole in the Philippines because 2 countries decided to fight over islands neither of them originally owned. War doesn't make sense. The more Eli sees of it, the less sense it makes. But that's not his job. Making sense, his job is following orders, staying alive, keeping his head down and doing his work. Same as always. May 10th, 1945. Dusk. Perimeter patrol. Everything quiet. Too quiet. Eli notices. He always notices. Birds aren't singing. Should be. This time of evening, birds make noise. Insects too. Jungle is never silent. Tonight it is. Eli mentions it to Sergeant Kowalski. Something's wrong. Kowalski waves him off. You're a paranoid ghost. Maybe, but paranoid men tend to live longer. Eli finishes his patrol, reports to the command tent, gets his assignment, machine gun emplacement, north perimeter, midnight to 4 a.m., 4 hours, then sleep. He doesn't sleep. Something in his gut says, stay awake, stay ready. At 4:30, his relief shows up. 2 men, fresh from rack time, tired, moving slow. You're good, ghost. Get some rest. Eli should leave, should go to his tent, should sleep. Instead, he stays, finds a spot 20 yards back, shadow of a supply crate, sits down, lights a cigarette, watches the tree line. Regulation says when your shift is over, you leave the post. Regulation says the next shift takes full responsibility. Eli doesn't care about regulation, not when the jungle is too quiet. 4:47 a.m., movement in the trees, lots of movement. Eli crushes the cigarette, reaches for his rifle. Approximately 100 Japanese soldiers emerge from the jungle, moving fast, moving quiet, heading straight for the machine gun position. Eli opens his mouth to shout a warning. Too late. The war is about to teach Eli one final lesson. The hard way. The first wave hits at 4:47 a.m. exactly. Eli will remember the time because he checks his watch. Old habit. Mark the moment. Know when things go wrong. They go wrong fast. The Japanese soldiers split into two groups. 50 moving toward the machine gun position. 50 swinging wide toward the tents. Textbook pincer movement. Cut off the heavy weapon. Catch the sleeping men before they can organize. Professional. Coordinated. This isn't some desperate last stand. This is a planned assault. Eli is still 20 yards from the machine gun when the first shots crack through the darkness. Not rifle fire, blade work. The two soldiers who relieved him don't even get a chance to scream. He should run for the command tent. Should wake the officers. Should follow protocol. Protocol gets people killed. Eli runs toward the machine gun. 10 Japanese soldiers are already climbing over the sandbag wall. One is trying to turn the gun around. Point it back at the American perimeter. Once that happens, everyone dies. Eli covers 20 yards in 5 seconds. Brings his M1 up. Fires. The soldier at the gun drops. Clean headshot. 70 yards. Dawn light barely breaking. Eli doesn't think about it. Doesn't aim. Just sees and shoots. Muscle memory. 11 years of Beatles. 2 years of war. His body knows what to do before his brain catches up. Second shot. Third. Fourth. 3 more soldiers down before they realize where the fire is coming from. The remaining 6 turn. See Eli running at them. One man. 50 yards now. 40. 30. They raise their rifles. Too slow. Eli is already firing. 5th shot catches one in the chest. 6th takes another in the throat. 7th, 8th. The M1's magazine runs dry. That distinctive pings as the empty clip ejects. 2 soldiers left standing in the gun pit. 20 feet away. Eli doesn't reload. No time. He jumps the sandbag wall. Swings the rifle like an axe. Oak stock reinforced with steel. 8.5 pounds of hardwood and metal. The first soldier tries to bring his bayonet up. The rifle stock catches him under the jaw. Snaps his head back. Sound like a tree branch breaking. He goes down. Last soldier lunges. Eli sidesteps. Years of moving through cotton rows, tight spaces, quick turns. The bayonet misses by inches. Eli reverses his swing, brings the rifle butt down on the back of the soldier's neck. Vertebrae crack. The soldier drops. Silence, just for a moment. Just long enough for Eli to look around. 10 bodies in and around the gun pit. All dead. 11 if you count the one he shot from distance. His hands are shaking. Not from fear, from adrenaline. The body's response to violence. Chemical reaction. Can't control it. He checks the machine gun. The M1917 Browning. Water-cooled. Belt-fed. Capable of firing 450 rounds per minute. The feed mechanism is jammed. One of the falling soldiers landed on it wrong. Bent the tray. The gun won't fire. Eli tries to clear it. Pulls the charging handle. Nothing. Tries again. Still nothing. The most important defensive weapon on the perimeter is now a paperweight. He hears them coming. More soldiers, moving through the camp, shouting in Japanese. Rifle fire crackling, Americans yelling, chaos spreading like fire. Eli looks at the broken machine gun, looks at his M1, looks at the dead soldiers around him. One of them is wearing a bandolier. American ammunition, probably taken from another engagement. 5 stripper clips, 40 rounds total. Eli grabs it, checks his own ammunition. 3 clips left, 24 rounds, plus the 40 he just found, 64 total. He does the math automatically, can't help it. Grew up counting bullets, counting beetles, counting days until the debt gets paid. 64 rounds, unknown number of enemy soldiers. Math doesn't favor him. Movement in his peripheral vision. 20 soldiers emerging from the trees, 50 yards to the east, moving in a line, rifles ready. They see the gun pit, see the bodies. Haven't seen Eli yet. He's below the sandbag line, shadow and smoke. He loads a fresh clip, 8 rounds, smooth motion, done it 1,000 times. Thinks about his options. Stay in the pit and get surrounded, run back to the main perimeter and lose the high ground. Or do something stupid. Eli has never been afraid of stupid. He rises up, brings the M1 to his shoulder, picks his first target. Squeeze. Don't pull. Let the trigger break clean. The lead soldier drops. The others scatter, looking for cover. Not much to find. Open ground between the trees and the gun pit. Eli fires again and again, tracking targets, leading the movement. Beetle at 320 yards. Helmet at 200 yards. Beetle is 3/4 of an inch. Helmet is 12 inches. Math says this should be easy. Math doesn't account for people shooting back. Bullets kick up dirt around the sandbags. Crack overhead. Thud into the bags. One misses Eli's head by 3 inches. Feels the pressure wave as it passes. He keeps firing. Methodical. Mechanical. Doesn't rush. Rushing makes you miss. 8 rounds. Ping. Magazine empty. He drops below the sandbag line. Reloads. 3 seconds. Up again. The enemy wave has broken. Bodies on the ground. Survivors pulling back to the tree line. Eli counts quick. 7 down, maybe 8. Hard to tell in the smoke and dust. His ear is bleeding. The right one. Half deaf already. Now it's worse. Can't hear anything on that side except a high-pitched whine. No time to worry about it. Another group moving from the south. Different approach. Learn from the first wave's mistake. These aren't running straight at him. They're leapfrogging. One squad moves while another provides covering fire. Smart. Professional. Eli shifts position. Can't stay in the gun pit. Too obvious. They know where he is now. He grabs the ammunition bandolier, vaults the sandbag wall, runs 15 yards to a shell crater, probably from the last engagement. Month ago, artillery round that didn't find a target. The crater is 3 feet deep. Good cover. Better angles. He can see both approaches now. The southern group is closer. 30 yards. Moving fast. Taking advantage of the smoke. Eli fires from the crater. Different angle. They weren't expecting that. The lead soldier goes down, then another. Confusion in their ranks. They thought he was still in the gun pit. He uses that confusion. Fires 3 more rounds. Controlled pairs. 2 shots per target. Center mass. The way they teach you in basic. The M1 pings empty again. He reloads. Muscle memory. Doesn't look at his hands. Watches the enemy. Watches for the next threat. A mortar round explodes 20 yards to his left. He feels the concussion. Dirt rains down. Shrapnel pings off rocks. They brought mortars. Knee mortars. Light. Portable. Dangerous. Another round. Closer. 10 yards. The blast wave rolls over him. Ears ringing worse now. Can barely hear anything. Third round lands 5 yards away. Crater lip takes most of the shrapnel. Saves his life. But the message is clear. They're ranging in. Getting closer. Next one will kill him. Eli moves. Runs low. 20 yards to a stack of ammunition crates. Different cover. Different angle. Keep moving. Static targets die. A grenade lands 3 feet from where he was. Explodes in the empty crater. If he'd stayed, he'd be dead. The southern group reaches the gun pit. 8 soldiers. They spread out, setting up a firing line, bringing their own machine gun. Type 96. Japanese design. They're going to do what Eli couldn't. Turn the position into a strong point. Can't let that happen. Eli pulls a grenade from his belt. American M2, pineapple style, rough iron casing, pulls the pin, counts. 1, 2, 3, throws. The grenade arcs through the pre-dawn gray, lands in the gun pit, right in the middle of 8 men setting up a machine gun. The explosion is contained by the sandbags. All the force channeled upward and inward. Nowhere for it to go except through the soldiers. Eli doesn't watch. Already moving. Already finding his next position. The sun is starting to rise. 5:15 a.m. 28 minutes since the attack started. Feels like hours. He finds another shell crater, bigger than a foot diameter, 4 feet deep, lip reinforced by packed earth. He slides in, catches his breath. His hands are shaking again. Worse now. He looks at them, covered in dirt and powder residue and something dark that might be blood. Not his blood, someone else's. The bandolier is lighter. He checks it. 2 clips left. 16 rounds. His original ammunition is gone. 64 rounds, down to 16. Math says he's in trouble. He hears them regrouping, officers shouting orders, whistles blowing. They're organizing, preparing for another push. Eli looks at the bodies scattered across the killing ground, counts them. 17, maybe 18. Hard to tell. Some are behind cover, some are in pieces. He did that. 1 man, 1 rifle, 17 dead in 28 minutes. Doesn't feel like an accomplishment. Feels like inevitability. They came. He stopped them. No different than shooting beetles, just bigger targets, higher stakes. One of the bodies is close, 10 feet from the crater. Japanese soldier, young, maybe 20, face down in the dirt. Eli can see a photograph sticking out of the soldier's pocket, black and white. Bent corner, a woman holding a baby, smiling at the camera, the soldier's wife, his child, back in Japan, waiting for him to come home. He won't be coming home. Eli looks away. Can't think about that now. Thinking gets you killed. The second wave comes at 5:30. 40 soldiers, maybe more. Hard to count in the smoke and growing daylight. They learn from the first wave. No more straight charges. They're using cover, moving in bounds, suppressing fire. Military textbook. Done right. Eli picks his targets. Can't waste ammunition. 16 rounds, 40 soldiers. Math doesn't work unless he makes every shot count. He fires. A soldier drops. Fires again. Another down. The enemy scatters. Returns fire. Bullets tear through the air around the crater. 1 round hits the lip. Sprays dirt in Eli's eyes. He blinks it away. Keeps firing. 8 rounds. Ping. Last clip. 8 rounds left in the world. He loads it, slow and careful, hands still shaking, gets it seated, pulls the bolt, ready. But something's wrong. The rifle feels different. He looks down, sees a crack in the stock from using it as a club. The wood is splitting where it meets the receiver. 1 more hard impact and it'll break completely. Then he'll have a broken rifle and no ammunition and 40 soldiers who want him dead. He needs to change the equation. The mortar crew is setting up again. 2 men, 300 yards southwest, behind a fallen tree. They're adjusting the tube, getting ready to rain hell on his position. Take out the mortars. Change the game. Eli aims, 300 yards. Moving target. Cross breeze. The beetles were easier. They didn't shoot back. He exhales. Squeezes. The rifle kicks. The first mortar, man drops. The second man looks around, confused, trying to figure out where the shot came from. Eli fires again. The second man falls. No more mortars, for now. The enemy infantry is closer, 20 yards, moving through the smoke. Eli can see them clearly now. Faces, expressions, fear and determination mixed together. He fires his last 6 rounds, controlled, precise. 6 shots, 5 hits. 1 miss, wind pushed it left. The M1 pings empty. He's out of loaded ammunition. The crack of rifle fire is everywhere now. Americans fighting on other parts of the perimeter. Grenades, shouting, chaos. But in Eli's crater, there's silence. Just him and an empty rifle and soldiers 20 yards away who don't know he's out of ammunition yet. He looks at the dead soldier 10 feet away. The one with the photograph. The soldier's rifle is there. Arasaka Type 38, 5-round internal magazine. Eli lunges out of the crater, grabs the rifle, rolls back to cover. Bullets chase him, kick up dirt where he was. The Arasaka is loaded, 5 rounds. He checks the soldier's ammunition pouch. 3 more stripper clips, 15 additional rounds, 20 total. Different rifle, different caliber, different everything. But a gun is a gun. Point and shoot. The fundamentals don't change. 3 soldiers crest the crater lip, bayonets fixed. expecting to find Eli cowering, find him aiming instead. He fires. The Arasaka's report is sharper than the M1, higher pitched. Soldier drops. Eli works the bolt. Fires again. Second soldier down. Third soldier lunges. Eli parries the bayonet thrust with the rifle barrel. Kicks out, catches the soldier in the knee. The leg buckles. Eli brings the rifle butt around. Connects with the soldier's temple. The man goes down. Doesn't get up. 6:30 a.m. 1 hour and 43 minutes since the attack started. Eli has lost count of the bodies. Stopped counting after 30. Too many and too fast. His uniform is torn in a dozen places. Blood on his sleeves, his chest, his face. Mixture of his and theirs. Can't tell which is which anymore. The right side of his head is crusted with dried blood. The ear is completely deaf now. Just ringing. Constant. Like a bell that won't stop. He's thirsty. When did he last drink water yesterday? The day before, can't remember. His hands have stopped shaking. That's bad. Means the adrenaline is wearing off. Means he's running on empty. Body shutting down non-essential functions, conserving energy for survival. The attack has changed, not waves anymore. Individual soldiers, pairs, small groups, probing, testing, looking for weaknesses. They're figuring out it's one man, one stubborn bastard who won't die, won't retreat, won't quit. The sun is fully up now. 7 a.m. Morning light harsh and bright. No more shadows to hide in. Nowhere left to run. Eli has moved 4 more times. Different craters, different cover. Always moving. The moment you stop, you die. The Arasaka is empty. He's back to his M1. Found ammunition on another body. 32 rounds. The cracked stock is worse. Held together by wire and will. Movement to his right. 2 soldiers flanking. He pivots. Fires. 1 drops. The other keeps coming. Close now. 10 feet. Eli pulls the trigger. Click. Misfire. Dud round. 1 in every 100. Law of averages. The soldier is 5 feet away. Bayonet extended. No time to work the bolt. No time to reload. Eli swings the rifle. The cracked stock finally gives. Breaks clean off. The barrel and receiver fly one direction. The stock another. He's holding a piece of broken wood. The soldier thrusts. Eli blocks with the stock fragment. Bayonet punches through the wood. Stops inches from his chest. He twists. Yanks the bayonet sideways. The soldier loses his grip. Eli smashes the wood into the man's face. Once. Twice. 3 times. The soldier collapses. Eli picks up the soldier's rifle. No time to check if it's loaded. Another soldier is coming from the left. Want and shoot. The rifle fires. Soldier drops. 7:34 a.m. 2 hours and 47 minutes. The jungle is quiet again. No more soldiers coming. No more rifle fire. Just smoke and morning birds and the smell of cordite and copper. Eli stands in the middle of what used to be the gun pit. Bodies everywhere. Piled on top of each other in some places. Scattered in others. Japanese. All Japanese, he counts mechanically. Stops at 41. 41 confirmed. Probably more deeper in the trees. Wounded who crawled away. Dead he didn't see fall. But 41 here. Around him. Because of him. He looks at his hands, covered in blood, dirt, powder residue, shaking again, worse than before. He hears American voices, running footsteps, his own company. Finally fought through to his position. Sergeant Kowalski appears, stops dead, stares at the carnage. Jesus Christ. Eli stands there, rifle in one hand, broken stock in the other, uniform in tatters, blood everywhere. Kowalski approaches slowly, like approaching a wild animal. Ghost, you okay? Eli tries to answer, opens his mouth, nothing comes out. Throat too dry, voice too tired. He drops the rifle, sits down right there in the dirt among the bodies. Not because he wants to, because his legs give out. Kowalski kneels beside him. What happened here? Eli finds his voice. Barely. They came. How many? 100, maybe more. Kowalski looks around, looks at the bodies, looks at Eli. You did this, all of this. Had to. Jesus Christ, Kowalski says again. Doesn't know what else to say. More soldiers arrive. Medics, officers, everyone stops, stares. Nobody speaks. Lieutenant Morrison pushes through the crowd, takes in the scene. Face goes pale. "Get me a count," he says, voice shaking. "I need a confirmed count." They count. Take 20 minutes. Some soldiers are in pieces. Hard to tell where one ends and another begins, but they count anyway. Final tally: 41 enemy KIA. 0 American casualties in this sector. Morrison looks at Eli. "You violated direct orders. You were supposed to leave the post at 0430. Eli nods. Doesn't argue. Fact is fact. "You saved this entire position. Probably saved the whole company." Eli says nothing. Too tired to speak. Too empty to care. A medic tries to check his wounds. Eli waves him off. "I'm fine." "Sir, your ear is—" "I said I'm fine." He's not fine. He's deaf in one ear, covered in blood, hasn't slept in 24 hours, probably has a concussion. Definitely has something broken. Ribs maybe, hand maybe, can't tell. Everything hurts, but he's alive. That's more than 41 other men can say. They help him to his feet, walk him back to the command tent. Give him water. Food. He can't eat. Stomach won't accept it. He sits on an ammunition crate, stares at nothing, sees everything. 41 faces, young and old, scared and angry, all of them dead because he knows how to shoot beetles at 300 yards. The war taught him how to survive, but nobody taught him how to live with what survival costs. That lesson comes later, after the investigation, after the ceremony, after he goes home and tries to pretend he's still human. For now, he just sits, just breathes, just exists in the space between who he was and who he became in 2 hours and 47 minutes. The ghost of Yazoo. 41 kills. One morning in May that nobody will ever forget. And Eli will never be able to. The investigation. They don't believe him at first. Division Intelligence sends a team. 2 captains and a lieutenant. They arrive 3 days after the battle. Notebooks, cameras, tape measures, skeptical expressions. One man killing 41 enemy soldiers in 2 hours and 47 minutes. It's impossible. Has to be exaggerated. Combat reports always inflate numbers. Adrenaline, confusion, fear. Men see what they want to see. They start measuring. Ballistic trajectories, powder burns, blood spatter patterns, bullet holes in the sandbags, shell casings scattered across 300 yards of ground. They interview Eli. Separate room, just him and a captain with a notepad. "Walk me through it, start to finish." Eli tells it. Flat voice, no embellishment, no drama, just facts. They came. I fought. They died. "How many rounds did you fire?" "Don't know exactly." "Lost count?" "Estimate," Eli thinks. Does the math. M1 clips, Arasaka rounds, ammunition he scavenged. 200, maybe 210. The captain writes it down. 200 rounds, 41 kills. That's a better than 20% hit rate in combat conditions. "Yes, sir." Expert marksmen in controlled conditions average 12%. Eli says nothing. What's there to say beetles don't shoot back? But beetles are smaller targets. The captain leans back, studies Eli. "Where'd you learn to shoot like that?" "Mississippi." "Doing what?" "Killing beetles." The captain thinks Eli is being difficult, making jokes. He's not. It's the truth, the whole truth. Nothing but. They spend 6 weeks investigating, interview every surviving member of Company B, examine every body, count every shell casing, match every wound to firing position. The evidence doesn't lie. 41 enemy soldiers, all killed by rifle fire or hand-to-hand combat, all within a specific kill zone, all traceable to one defender using 3 different firing positions and 2 different weapons. The math is impossible. The evidence is undeniable. Lieutenant Colonel Harris delivers the findings personally. June 18, 1945. Officer's tent. Eli stands at attention. "Private Whitmore, the investigation confirms your account. 41 confirmed enemy KIA. 0 friendly casualties in your sector." "Yes, sir." Harris looks at a folder, doesn't open it, just holds it. "You violated direct orders. You were commanded to leave your post at 0430 hours. You remained in position until 0734 hours. 3 hours and 4 minutes past your assigned shift. Yes, sir. Had the attack failed, had American casualties resulted from your decision, you would be facing court-martial, dereliction of duty, failure to follow orders. Eli understands. Army doesn't care about results. Army cares about chain of command. You follow orders, period. Even stupid orders, especially stupid orders. But the attack didn't fail. You saved your entire company. Possibly prevented a breakthrough that would have cost hundreds of American lives. Harris opens the folder, pulls out 2 documents, sets them on the desk. This is a formal reprimand, violation of standing orders, goes in your permanent record. Will follow you the rest of your military career. Eli nods, expected that. Harris taps the second document. This is a recommendation for the Medal of Honor, conspicuous gallantry above and beyond the call of duty. Eli doesn't nod, doesn't react, just stands there. You understand what this means. Highest military decoration the United States can give. You'll go to Washington, meet the president, ceremony, press, the whole show. I don't want it, sir. Harris looks up. Excuse me, the medal don't want it. It's not about what you want private. It's about what you did. Did my job. That's all. Your job was to leave at 0430. My job was to keep them from killing my friends. Harris stares at Eli, long moment. Then he picks up both documents. You're getting the reprimand, and you're getting the medal. That's not up for debate. Dismissed. Eli salutes, walks out, feels nothing, no pride, no anger, just empty. Doctrine change. The Army learns. Low, institutional, but it learns. By August 1945, machine gun emplacement protocols change across the Pacific Theater. Shift overlaps extend from 0 minutes to 30. No more gaps, no more vulnerability windows. New tactical guidance gets issued. Single defender scenarios. When outnumbered and isolated, doctrine now recommends mobile defense. Multiple firing positions. Constant movement. Don't let the enemy fix your location. They call it ghost tactics. Some lieutenant somewhere thought he was clever. The manual doesn't credit Eli, just says, lessons learned from Luzon engagement, May 1945. Well, and that suits Eli fine. Didn't do it for credit. Did it because 100 men were trying to kill his friends. The war ends 2 months later, August 15th, 1945. Japan surrenders. The Pacific Theater goes quiet. No more fighting, no more dying. Eli feels nothing, should feel relief, should feel chuyai. Feels a nothing. They process him out in November. Medical discharge. 40% hearing loss right ear. Recommended for veterans benefits. Given travel vouchers back to Mississippi. January 23rd, 1946. White House. Medal ceremony. We already know how that goes. What we don't know is what happens after. Return to Yazoo. February 1946. Greyhound bus. 3 days from Washington to Mississippi. Stops in every small town between. Eli sleeps most of the way. Dreamless sleep. The kind where you wake up more tired than when you started. Yazoo County looks the same. Cotton fields. Dirt roads. Nothing changes here. Men go to war. Some come back. Most don't. The cotton still needs picking either way. Eli's cousin Leroy meets him at the bus station. 22 years old now. Finished trade school. Working as an electrician. Good job. Steady pay. Future. Everything Eli's combat pay bought him. They don't hug. Not how men do things in Mississippi. Leroy takes Eli's duffel bag. They walk to a borrowed truck. Good to have you home. Eli nods. Doesn't feel like home. Doesn't feel like anywhere. What were you going to do if I find work? What kind? No. Eli shrugs. Whatever's available. He ends up at Morton's garage. Mechanic work, fixing tractors, trucks, farm equipment. Pays 60 cents an hour. Better than sharecropping. Not by much. The owner, Dale Morton, is a veteran too. World War I, France. Argonne Forest. He doesn't ask about Eli's service, doesn't need to. Recognizes the look, the silence, the way Eli flinches at backfires. You know engines? Some. Can you follow instructions? Yes, sir. Then you gotta, Eli works 40 hours a week, sometimes 50, comes in early, leaves late, doesn't talk much, doesn't need to. Engines don't require conversation. The other mechanics learn quick. Don't sneak up on Ghost. Don't make sudden loud noises. Don't ask about the war. He lives in a boarding house on Carter Street. $8 a week, shared bathroom, shared kitchen. His room is 10 feet by 8 feet. Bed, chair, window, that's it. The Medal of Honor sits in a shoebox under the bed, still in its case, never opened after the ceremony. The nightmares. First one comes 2 weeks after he gets home. March 11th, 1946, exactly 10 months after the battle. He wakes up screaming, doesn't remember falling asleep, doesn't remember the dream. Just knows he's covered in sweat and his heart is trying to punch through his ribs. The landlady knocks on his door. You all right in there? Fine, sorry. You sure? Yes, ma'am. She doesn't believe him, but she leaves anyway. People in boarding houses learn not to ask too many questions. The nightmares develop a pattern, always the same date, 11th of every month, always the same images, faces, 41 faces, young, old, scared, angry, all looking at him and not accusing, just looking. Like they're waiting for something, an explanation maybe, a reason. Eli doesn't have one. They came to kill. He killed them first, that's all. No meaning deeper than survival. But the faces don't care about logic. They come anyway, every month, like clockwork. May is the worst. Anniversary of the battle. 3 nights in a row, he wakes up screaming. By the 3rd night, the landlady tells him he needs to find somewhere else to live. He moves to a house on the edge of town. Isolated. No neighbors close enough to hear. Costs more. $12 a week. Eats into his pay. Doesn't matter. Can't keep disturbing people. The isolation helps. When he wakes up screaming, nobody hears. Nobody comes knocking. Nobody asks if he's okay. He's not okay. Hasn't been okay since May 11th, 1945. Won't ever be okay again. He knows this, accepts it, keeps working anyway. The silence Leroy visits once a month. Sunday dinners, brings his girlfriend, later his wife, later their kids. Never asks about the war, knows better. Other people aren't so smart. A reporter shows up in 1958, young kid from Jackson, heard about the Medal of Honor, wants to do a story. Local hero returns home, that kind of thing. Eli meets him at the door. Mr. Whitmore, I'd love to interview you about your service. No, it would only take an hour, maybe less. People want to know. I said no. Sir, you're a hero. Your story deserves to be told. Eli looks at the reporter, really looks at him. Kid can't be more than 25. Wasn't even born when the war started. Doesn't know. Can't know. You want a story? Here it is. I killed 41 men in one morning. Some of them were soldiers. Some of them were boys. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't sleep well. I don't talk about it. Now get off my property. The reporter leaves. No story gets written. Veterans groups invite Eli to reunions. VFW, American Legion, annual gatherings, speeches, ceremonies, parades. He goes to one, 1963, VFW Hall in Jackson. 300 veterans, drinking, telling stories, laughing about things that weren't funny when they happened. A man approaches Eli, former sergeant, Pacific Theater. You're Whitmore, right, the ghost? Yeah. Heard about Luzon. Hell of a fight. Yeah. How many was it? 40 up on 41. The sergeant whistles. All in one morning. That's something. Eli looks at him. Is it? What do you mean? 41 men, 41 families, mothers, whips, all gone because I know how to shoot. The sergeant's smile fades. They were the enemy. Some of them were just kids following orders. 19, 20 years old. Had pictures of their families, I saw them. War's war, us or them. I know, doesn't make it easier. Eli leaves the reunion after 20 minutes. Never goes to another one. People in Yazoo County know he's a veteran. Know he got a medal. Don't know the details. Eli doesn't tell them. When someone asks, he changes the subject. What did you do in the war? Infantry, Philippines. You redirect, deflect, move on. Most people get the hint. The ones who don't get silence. He doesn't date, doesn't marry. Women show interest. He's polite, distant, never lets it go further. How do you explain to someone that you wake up screaming 3 times a month, that you can't go to fireworks shows because the noise sends you back to Luzon, that crowds make you nervous because you're always scanning for threats? You don't. You stay alone. Safer that way. The year, Eli works at Morton's garage for 28 years. Dale Morton dies in 1968. Heart attack. Eli and 2 other mechanics buy the business. Split it 3 ways, good steady work, reliable income. He sends money to Leroy's kids for college. All 3 of them. Never tells them where it comes from. Leroy knows, doesn't say anything. The nightmares continue. Never get better, never get worse. Just constant. 11th of every month. May is still the worst. He develops rituals, coping mechanisms. On bad nights, he works on engines. 3 a.m. out in the garage behind his house rebuilding a carburetor by lamplight. Keeps his hands busy, keeps his mind occupied. The work helps. Not much, but it's some. He notices changes, small ones, forgetting names, forgetting dates. Hands shake more than they used to, not just from the nightmares all the time. Leroy notices too, visits more often, brings groceries, helps with repairs around the house. You should see a doctor. I'm fine. You're 61, you're not fine. Fine enough. Leroy doesn't push, knows his cousin. Stubborn as Mississippi clay. 1983, the revelation February. Cold from Mississippi, 38 degrees. Eli catches pneumonia. Weak immune system. Too many years of stress. Too many nights without sleep. Leroy drives him to the hospital. Stays with him for 3 days. On the 4th day, Eli is stable. Doctor says he can go home in a week. Leroy goes to Eli's house to get clothes. Clean sheets, toiletries. The bedroom is sparse. Bed, chair, dresser, nothing on the walls, no pictures, no decorations. Looks like a monk's cell. Leroy opens the dresser. Top drawer, looking for socks. Finds a shoebox instead. He almost puts it back. None of his business. But something makes him open it. Inside, a Medal of Honor. Blue ribbon, bronze star, still in its presentation case. Untouched for 37 years. Next to it, the citation. Official War Department letterhead. Typewritten. Leroy reads it again. Can't believe what he's seeing. Single-handedly repelled an assault by approximately 100 enemy soldiers. 41 confirmed enemy killed in action. 2 hours and 47 minutes of sustained combat. He saved his entire company from annihilation. He sits on Eli's bed, holds the medal, tries to process. His cousin, quiet Eli, the man who fixed tractors for 28 years. The man who sent him to trade school. The man who never talked about the war. This man killed 41 people in one morning. This man is a hero. This man never said a word. Leroy visits the hospital that evening, walks into Eli's room, doesn't say hello, just holds up the medal case. Eli looks at it, looks at Leroy, says nothing. Why didn't you tell me? Nothing to tell? Nothing to, Leroy stops, breathes. You saved your whole company. You got the Medal of Honor, and you never mentioned it once. You read the citation, you know what I did. You were a hero. I was a killer. Eli's voice is flat, final. 41 men, some of them were soldiers doing their job. Some of them were kids, 18, 19, scared, just like I was scared. I killed them all. They would have killed you. I know, doesn't change what I did, doesn't change what I am. Leroy sets the medal on the bedside table, sits down. Is this why you never married, never had a family because of this? Eli looks out the window. Gray February sky, bare trees. How do you build a life when you can't sleep? When every month you wake up seeing their faces? When you know that everything you have came from being good at killing? You did your duty. Yeah, I did, and it cost me everything except my life. They sit in silence, nothing left to say. The medal gleams on the table. Untouched, Unwanted. A reward for doing something that can't be undone. Leroy takes it with him when he leaves. Keeps it safe. Eli doesn't ask for it back. The end. Elias Whitmore dies on September 14th, 1997. 76 years old. Heart failure. Quick. Peaceful. Better than he probably deserved. Better than 41 other men got. The funeral is small. Leroy and his family. 3 mechanics from the garage. Dale Morton's widow, Reverend from the Baptist Church who never met Eli but does funerals professionally. No military honor guard. Eli specified that in his will. No flag, no ceremony, no fuss, just a plain coffin. Simple headstone, name, dates. That's all. Leroy speaks, not a eulogy exactly, just words. My cousin was a quiet man, kept to himself, worked hard, never complained. He helped me get through trade school, helped my kids get through college, never asked for anything back. He pauses, pulls the Medal of Honor from his pocket. Most of you don't know this. Eli was a war hero, saved his entire company, got the Medal of Honor, never told anyone, never wore it, kept it in a shoebox for 51 years. The small crowd murmurs, news to most of them. I asked him once why he never talked about it. He said there was nothing to talk about. He did his job. That's all. Just his job. Leroy places the medal on the coffin. I think he was wrong. I think what he did mattered. I think the lives he saved mattered. But he never wanted glory, never wanted recognition, just wanted to be left alone to fix engines and sleep through the night without nightmares. The Reverend says standard words about eternal rest and God's grace. They lower Eli into Mississippi clay. Same dirt he grew up on, same dirt that shaped him, same dirt that took his father. The grave is next to Virgil's, father and son, together again. Both worked to death by land they never owned. The crowd disperses. Leroy stays, stands looking at the fresh dirt. The simple headstone. Elias Whitmore, 1921 to 1997. That's all it says. No mention of the war, no mention of the medal, just a name and dates, the way Eli wanted it. Legacy. The obituary in the Yazoo County Herald runs 5 paragraphs. 4th paragraph mentions military service. Whitmore served in the Pacific Theater during World War II. He was a recipient of the Medal of Honor. No details, no story. Most people reading it don't even notice. The local VFW chapter requests to display the medal. Leroy says no. That's not what Eli wanted. It sits in Leroy's house. Top shelf of a bookcase, in its case still pristine, still untouched. Leroy's grandchildren ask about it sometimes. What's that? That belonged to my cousin. He was a war hero. What did he do? Leroy tells them. Simplifies it, makes it appropriate for kids. Doesn't mention the nightmares. Doesn't mention the kids think it's cool. Video game logic. 41 bad guys defeated. High score. Victory. They don't understand. Can't understand. They're kids. The world is simple when you're young. Leroy doesn't correct them. Let them have their simple world. They'll learn soon enough how complicated everything really is. In 2015, the Mississippi State Legislature passes a resolution. Section of Highway 80 through Yazoo County gets renamed. Elias Whitmore Memorial Highway. Small ceremony. Leroy attends. Now 91 years old. Walks with a cane, but still sharp, still remembers. They unveil the sign. Green and white, standard highway marker. Elias Whitmore Memorial Highway Medal of Honor. Recipient World War II. A few dozen people attend. Local politicians, VFW members, press, small turnout. Most people have forgotten, or never knew. Leroy gives a short speech, keeps it simple. Eli never wanted recognition, never wanted glory. He just did what needed doing. Killed when he had to. Saved lives because he could. Then went home and tried to live with what that cost him. He pauses, looks at the highway sign. This sign is nice. Eli would have hated it, but I think it matters. Not because he was a hero, but because he was human. Because he did impossible things and paid impossible prices. Because he shows us what war really costs. Not just who dies, but who survives. The ceremony ends. People take pictures with the sign, post them on social media, like and share and forget by tomorrow. Cars drive past, hundreds a day, thousands a year. Most never notice the sign. Those who do don't know the story. Just a name, just a highway marker, just another forgotten hero in a country full of them. Final frame. The camera pulls back from the highway sign, wider, shows the road stretching into the distance. Cotton fields on both sides. Same fields Eli hunted beetles in 70 years ago. The sun sets, orange and red against gray clouds. Beautiful, indifferent. Same sky that watched him kill. Same sky that watched him die. 41 men in 2 hours and 47 minutes. One rifle, one soldier, one morning that should have ended in massacre. Elias Whitmore never asked to be remembered. Worked hard his whole life to be forgotten. And mostly he was. He kept the Medal of Honor in a shoebox for 51 years. Sent it to the White House once with a letter. I don't deserve this. Give it to someone who does. They sent it back. In his will, he requested no military honors, no flag, no ceremony, just a simple burial. Let the earth take him like it took everyone else. The earth obliged. Now he rests in Mississippi clay. Next to his father, two working men who own nothing but the sweat on their backs. The highway sign stands, green and white, clean, new, will fade over time, will need replacing. Eventually, even that will be forgotten. That's exactly how Eli wanted it. Not because he was humble, not because he was modest, but because every time someone thanked him for his service, he saw 41 faces, young and old, scared and brave, all dead because he knew how to shoot beetles at 300 yards. Hero and killer are not opposites. They're the same word from different angles. Eli understood that, lived with it for 51 years, died with it unresolved. The story ends where it began. White House, medal ceremony, young man in an ill-fitting uniform, old eyes in a young face, Truman placing the medal around his neck. You saved American lives, son. That's what matters. Eli never believed that, not really. American lives, Japanese lives, all gone, all because of choices made by men in offices thousands of miles away. But he took the medal anyway, shook the president's hand, smiled for the cameras, then went home. Put the medal in a shoebox, never opened it again. 41 men, 2 hours, 47 minutes. One ghost who learned to kill beetles and became something else entirely. That's the story. That's the legacy. That's Elias Whitmore, the forgotten hero who never wanted to be remembered and wasn't.